Hello, everyone, and this is a review of Lenape Country, Delaware Valley Society before William Penn by Jean R. Soderlund, um, published by the University of Pennsylvania Press. Now, I'm quite the fan of Soderlund. She has also written about, she has another book called Quakers and Slavery, A Divided Spirit, and she has a brand new book called Separate Paths, Lenape and Colonists in West New Jersey, which I imagine is a very similar book to this one. And this book was published in 2016. So when I first became aware of this book, it seemed like it was probably in 2019 or 2020, and I don't think scholarship was really too aware of it yet. I don't think it incorporated this work into the historical literature. But recently, I think this book has become huge for anyone studying early Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey colonial history. So I would recommend this book for those interested in Native American history, early American colonial history, Pennsylvanian history, Swedish history, European history, and global history. The book is basically about the Lenape people who were in the mid-Atlantic of what is now the US, and how they adapted to different colonists coming in and changing everything. I'd say that she spends the most time on the Swedes, but she also talks about the Dutch and the English, because of course the English were there before William Penn actually came in himself. I'd say she tries to show the robustness of the Lenape people, and she shows this through their interactions with the colonists, most especially the Swedish colonists. And a lot of Pennsylvanian, mid-Atlantic, what David Hackett Fisher and Colin Woodard call the Midlander culture. I think this gives a pretty detailed account of the history of the New Sweden colony and how the Dutch encroached and then how the English annexed this area. Soderlund also tries to really show off how the Lenape had some bargaining power here and how they truly were negotiating with the colonists. The colonists were not able to initially easily dominate the region, and when the Swedes came in, they were largely incorporated into the social fabric which already existed within the Lenape culture. And what I mean by this is the Swedes and Finns who came with them would adapt some Native American ways. They would marry into other families. They would probably live less like their European counterparts and more like, well, the Native Americans living right next to them. And then another major point is that a lot of William Penn's plans for Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, that of diversity, cultural and religious diversity, and the general impression of lax behavior with Native Americans, this all actually comes from the Swedes in their initial interactions with the Lenape. The Dutch then, after they annexed New Sweden, the Swedes still continued living in a colony. It just wasn't really independent. The community stayed the same. They continued to be Lutheran. They continued to do all their cultural practices, speak the Swedish language. And then the English came, and the Swedes continued to do the same thing. So we might think New Sweden was only around for 20 years, but I mean the actual culture lasted into the United States. I mean, we still have Swedish churches and log cabins in the eastern mid-Atlantic. In conclusion, though, this work is truly intuitive. It's an enjoyable read. It is academic, There is an audiobook version, but if you get that, I would recommend accompanying it with the actual written version because you are going to want to underline and take some notes. Anyway, thank you for listening. If you are interested in history, please consider subscribing to this channel as well as my main channel, where I talk about history a little more thoroughly.